Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful gown. So stay right tuned as we get into the video. So this is my fabric. This is the fabric I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So it is an Ankara print and it looks so beautiful. So we'll just go ahead and cut out the half length, that is from the shoulder to the waist. Now I'll be showing us how that will go. So for the half length of this, is actually 9 inch, but I added extra 2 inch because I'm going to be adding a full flay to the down part of this, and then it's going to have hard net. So that explains the length I actually have there. So here I have my shoulder divided into two. So after measuring my shoulder, I'll go ahead and mark my bust point. So my bust point is going to be on 6, and then the waist will be on 9, like I said. So here I'm just going to make sure I've already folded this fabric using the round bust measurement plus 2-inch allowance. So I just connected from my shoulder down to where I have my bust point like that. Then I'll blend it in like this. So on this part, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch so that I can give that part a curve for my armhole. So this is what the armhole actually looks like. Now I'm going to go ahead now to take the round bust measurement. So it is around 22, then I had my extra 2-inch allowance to this. So it is a little girl's child, so I want it to have as much allowance as possible. And then the waist is the same as the bust because the waist is going to have a belt. So just go ahead and cut off this excess. So that is the only part. As you can see, I folded it exactly using the measurements I will be needing. So for the neck, I'm just going to be doing a basic round neck measurement. So I'll be using 2 by 2. Then I'll connect it like this. So this is just this basic round neck for a little child. So I'll just connect it like that and cut it off. So this is what the front bodice will look like. Then don't forget to slant your shoulders. So just go ahead and slant my shoulder right there. So all allowance included has been added. Here is my back. So the back, I'll just add extra 2-inch allowance, which will serve as my zipper allowance. So that is just the difference between the front and the back. So here you can see me with exactly 2-inch allowance folded like this. So there you can see that the shoulder increased because of the 2-inch allowance. So for the back, I want the back to be higher. So I'll just connect it. So I'm using 1.5 for the back, or 1 inch. This actually depends on you. So I'll just connect it into the first shoulder. So that is the back, the shoulder I have for the front. Now that I'm done opening up the back piece, this is what it looks like. So this is the two pieces I have for the back. Now I'm going to also go ahead to cut lining pieces for this. So I'll place it on it like this. So this is what the back and the front looks like. So the only difference is the neckline for the back is kind of higher than the zipper allowance which I have at the back. So now I'm going to be placing it like this, and then I'm going to be using 6-inch for my dart. So the dart, that's 6-inch divided by 2, so I'm going to be marking 3-inch on that part. Then I will notch it. So notching it will actually make it easier for me to detect where to sew my dart legs when I'm sewing. So now what is left is just to go ahead and cut lining pieces for both the front and then the 2 pieces I have for the back. So guys, this is what the lining pieces looks like. I'm done cutting now. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be placing it, and I will show us how to go ahead to use our lining piece to turn this. So I'll be placing my lining piece on the right side of the fabric like this. So make sure it is well arranged. You can go ahead and use your pin to hold this down so that it is more durable and doesn't move here and there. So this is what the front piece looks like. So after placing the lining piece on it, now I'll be using my chalk to mark out where I'm going to be sewing. So I'm going to be sewing 1/2 inch on the neck area. Then I'm going to be sewing the armhole part. Since this is not going to have a natural sleeve joint, then I will be sewing 1/2 inch on the side. So the neck, the armhole, and then the sides. So those are the places I'm going to be sewing, and this is for the front piece. Now I'll set this aside, and then I'll bring the back piece as well. So for the back piece, I already went ahead to cut my lining piece for it as well. So I'll just repeat the same process just like I did for the front. I'll place it to right side, and then I'm going to place my lining on the right side of the fabric, just as you can see me doing. So also go ahead and use your pin to hold this down so that it doesn't move here and there. So place it on it like this, as you can see me doing. Now once you are done doing this, go ahead and mark the neckline, the neck. Then I'm going to be stitching the armhole as well, the side, as well as where I have my allowance, my zipper allowance. So these are the parts you can see me marking out as well. So just go ahead and mark out those parts on yours so that it is easier for you to remember while you are stitching down. So remember that we are going to be stitching down 1/2 inch on this side, hence this is the essence of the allowance we went ahead to put. Now we'll set this aside now. So leave out the shoulder, so we're going to be putting it inside each other after we are done turning. Now for the lower part, we're going to be using a flay. So it is actually a 360 flay. I'm going to be leaving a tutorial on how I cut out the 360 flay because I don't want this to be too lengthy. So I cut out lining pieces, and then the white piece you can see is the stay. So this is a soft stay. It is not as thick as the normal stay, regular stay. So I'm going to be ironing this on it. It can also be called an interface. So I'll just go ahead and iron this on it so that the material is more thick. Then I'm going to be sewing 1/2 inch on that part you can see me pointing to. So I'll then use it to pull up the excess here. So I'm going to be showing us now what the front looks like after my dart has been included, and then I'm gonna head to iron it out. So this is the front, and then this is the back as well. So these are the two pieces I have for the back. Then this is me placing the front piece on the back. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is just go ahead to mark out my zip allowance. So marking out my zip allowance automatically makes the front and the back equal. So now we're going to go ahead to put the front and the back shoulder inside each other. Remember that we've already joined the shoulder together and then the armhole part. So we're just going to be placing it inside each other like this, and then go ahead to turn it out. Then I'm going to be using this piece for the sleeve. So I actually cut a circle. I cut 2 circles and then use one to turn each other, and then this is what the belt looks like. So the length of this belt is around 32 inch. Unfold like this, as you can see. So this is around 32 inch. You can go ahead and measure the waist and then add about 10 inch or 20 inch to it, depending on how long you want it to be. So this is the flay part. I already went ahead to iron my stay to it, and then I sew my lining piece on it. So I also use 1 inch to pull on each side. Now what is left for me is to just go ahead to turn this out and then give this a good press as well. Now I'm going to be adding hardness and then pocketing to this part so that the material is standing more firm. So if you want to know how I actually made this, so I'll just make another video, but let me know in the comment section if you would like to know how I went ahead to make this hardness and the pocketing. So back to our sewing. Now I've already went ahead to place the shoulders inside each other and turn it out so that all my sewing allowance are inside. Then this is what the neckline looks like, and then the shoulder. So you can see that it looks as neat as possible. So this is me. I already went ahead to mark out the zipper allowance. So I also marking out the zipper allowance makes both the front and the back equal. So I went ahead to mark my zipper allowance. So that is about 2 inch. Although when I'm sewing this down, I'm going to be using just about 1.5 inch. Remember, I already went ahead to stitch this down, so automatically I have 1/2 inch deducted from my measurement. So I'll pin this down so that I can equalize both the front and the back. Then I'll now go ahead and input my measurements into this and stitch the 2 sides down. So the bust I'm working with is around 22 to 23, but I'm going to be making it about 24 because this is actually going to have a belt. Now I'll stitch this down like this, and then I'll go ahead and stitch the sides down using the measurement. So the measurement varies. You can go ahead and take your own body measurement and then your child's or person you're making for, and then go ahead and sew down measure using this measurement. So I'll just take that measurement now, use my tape rule to measure it, and then mark it down using my chalk, so that when I'm taking this to my sewing machine, it is it is actually easy for me to follow that line and just stitch down directly. So mark down on that part what the chest or the bust measurement is. So that is just the excess I have there. Then on this part as well, confirm the measurement. Then I'll move down to the waist and then reconfirm that measurement and mark it as well. So I'll just use my chalk to shape this down and then take it to my sewing machine. So you want to make sure you take your time while doing this so that you don't make the wrong shape on it. So this is actually one of the most important parts in sewing as well, giving the cloth a nice shape. So after I'm done chalking it now, what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and confirm my measurement again if it is accurate and if I don't need to make any adjustment to it. So I already stitched it down here. Now what I'm doing is just measuring my half length and looking at how many inch I have left, if it is still okay. So this is my belt. I already ironed it out as well. And then this is the circle I made earlier, which I'm going to be using for my sleeve. I already ironed it out. I cut two, so I use one as a lining piece and then one will be the one that will be showing on the outer part. So cut two pieces for each hand, which is going to be 4 circles. Now this is the flare part of the gown. So I actually pull this up using 1 inch, as you can see, so that the lining is not going to be showing on the lower part of this. So the length of this actually is around 14 to 16 inch. I actually can place that now. So what I'm just going to do is notch the center of this. I'll get my scissors and notch the center of this so that this will be distributed evenly on the half length. So notch the center. Now take the half length as well and then go ahead and notch the center of it. So I hope this is actually clear. If you also have any question, please leave your questions for me in the comment section. So I'll be happy and glad to reply any comment or any questions you have. So I'm going to pin the part I notched together. Make sure it's facing each other, right side facing each other like this. Now once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and gather the other ones I have on each side, both the left side and the right side of this, so that it completes the full flare. I'll just walk it round like this and then sew it down. So what I'm just doing is using my pin to hold this down so that it is easier for me to maneuver when it gets to the sewing machine. Now I'll just go ahead and stitch this down with about 1 inch. So lovelies, this is what I had after I was done with that. Now the up and the down of this gown has actually come together. You can see that the gown is even standing well, even without the hard net in it. So the next thing I'll be doing is on that same waist, I'm going to go ahead to gather my hard net on it. So this is actually the essence of me stitching this down with about 1 inch. So I'm going to open the joining and then on the excess I have right there, I'm going to be stitching down the hard net. I'm sorry this went out of view a bit. I really didn't know that. So I'll just go ahead and gather this on the waist as full as possible. Now once I'm done stitching this down, I'll be back to show us what it looks like. So just take your time to stitch it exactly the way you stitch the flare part on the half length. So go ahead and stitch this down. So guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching it down. So as you can see, I just stitched down on that excess I had because I actually joined this with 1 inch. Now for the lining piece, I'm going to be using the lining piece to cover the hardness so that it is not touching directly on the child's skin. So I'm going to be showing us how to place this so that it will be convenient. Then it's going to cover the waist joining. So I'm going to be placing it on the back like this, that is facing the half length like this. Automatically when I stitch this down, and then it's going to cover this way, just as you can see me folding it. So I'm going to stitch this down on the half length like this instead of on the hard net. I'm going to be stitching it down on the half length. Then once I'm done, it's going to flip down and then it will cover the waist joining. So This will actually make your work easier and then neater. Now after I'm done with that, I'll just stitch the down part, and then this is what I had after I was done with that. As you can see, it looks so good, and then you can see that the gown is already standing firm on its own even without stitching the sides together. So you can see that the lining is also covering the hard net so that it is not scratchy on the child's body. It is as comfortable as possible. So this is actually the essence of this, and then the waist joining is actually not showing through. So if you have any excess of the hard net showing, you can just go ahead and trim it off. So the main thing is for the hard net not to show at the end of the day. So just go ahead and place this down now, then I'll stitch on both sides. So I'm going to be attaching now the little circle I created for the sleeve. I'm going to be attaching it on the sleeve, and then I will go ahead and mark the center of my gown and attach my belt to it as well. So the belt is actually going to be directly in the center like this. Then I'll just stitch this down so that it can stand firm. So after I'm done stitching that down, I'll also gather the circle into the flare into the hand, which will serve as the sleeve, the mini sleeve for this gown. So just gather that into this part, just as if you are fixing your sleeve, but you just make little gathers round it, and then don't forget to top stitch. So you can see me making little pleats round it. So that's how I'm going to be fixing this part. Now I'll take it to my sewing machine and be back to show us. So lovely, this is what I had after I was done. You can see I already gathered the flare into the armhole part, and then this is what it looks like. So I gathered for the two sides, and this is what it came out as. I also went ahead to top stitch it, so you can see it came out as neat as possible. So I also stitched down my belt. So this is what the front looks like. Now I closed back the sides, the back part, the zipper part, with about 1.5 inch, and then I'll be using that now to fix in my zipper. You can see the gun is already standing because of the hardness and the pocketing that is inside. So now what is left is just to go ahead and fix my zip. So I'll be using this zip for the gown. Now I'll just go ahead now and stitch this into the allowance I already created for my zip, that is my zipper allowance, and then I'll be back to show us what it actually looks like. So this is just how I'm going to be fixing it. Take note of the allowance you already left down for it, and then make sure you fix it correctly and as tight as possible. So lovely, this is how it came out after I was done with the zipper. So I'll make sure that the zip is moving freely so that it doesn't weaken out on time. So this is actually how it looks like. It came out as nice as I wanted it to look. Then this is the belt. I just stitched this down on the center of the half length, and then it will be tied directly at the back. So if you find this video helpful, this tutorial helpful, please like and share, and then please subscribe to the channel. So I'll be bringing you new tutorial on other sewing hack. Thanks for watching, guys.